Welcome to the Nordic Takedown Podcast, episode 12. I'm so humble, which rings pretty well to introduce myself like that. And I'm joined here with not two guests, but with Mattias that is here again. Welcome.
Thank you. I am here again, yes.
Yep.
Somewhat of a host, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Something like that. And we are also joined by recurring guest Jonah. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me again. Nice being back.
It's nice to have you.
Yeah, really nice. Actually, that's not a joke. It's actually fun. We need some more international culture in this podcast, so we turn to the Norwegian side.
Such a difference.
Yeah, it's massive difference, especially the language. I can't. It's totally different. So, Jonah, what have you been playing this last weeks, or at least last week? You were here like last week, so
yeah. Since last time, I've been paying a bit more attention to the hard control lists. I think both Grand Admiral Thrawn and Boba has gotten some attention. So in those, I mean, they share cunning, of course. So they have a little bit in common with some waylays, no good to be deads, and so forth. But otherwise, I would say they're quite different because Boba can play fire sprays and kind of pressure more that way. But I think they look kind of cool. I haven't been testing them too much, but I want to test them more. And then I've also
more played against them? Have you played against them or just looked into them, like in theory?
I've played against Boba maybe once or twice, and then I've played both Thrawn and Boba myself once or twice.
Yeah.
And then mostly I've been looking into a different Han deck, actually. So a still green version, but more of a rebel-oriented one, where you focus on getting a lot of card draw from C-3PO. So you play plenty 3 costs and just name 3 and hope for the best.
And where are you in that testing? How successful is the deck so far?
To be honest, I go back and forth all the time. You know, I suffer from recency bias. I just play some games. Oh, I just want to. Oh, this is the best list ever. And then I get totally smacked by you playing Boba and kind of reconsider. So I don't know. I feel like I'm more comfortable with the old one because I have more games on it. And as we also discussed, I feel like the normal or the old version is more of a reactive deck. So you can kind of focus on just matching your opponent and then winning later on in the game. But with the more rebel-oriented one, I feel like you have to be much more proactive. And if that plan kind of goes a little bit south, then it doesn't look as good. But you can, of course, have the benefit of being a more aggressive deck. So, for instance, against the Vader Green, I feel like the Rebel one has a little bit of a better matchup, which is a matchup I've been having a hard time with a normal Han.
Oh, yeah.
And
cool.
What made you want to look at Thrawn currently? Like, he's not that common to see.
Yeah. I think, first of all, he's really cool. I like the character. I like his ability, being able to see 50% of what your opponent is drawing. The exhaust is nice just to slow down aggro. And then the mill win condition is, I don't know, it's not the most fun thing to do, but it's very different. So I feel like it's something you kind of have to explore.
It's very real as well. Like, not in every game, but it's definitely happening.
Just one thing, all of these games that I'm talked about is purely online. So I'm playing a lot with people I know online on Tabletop Simulator or in the Take the Initiative League.
Yeah, you're basically like me. Don't really have much to play with locally, and so everything is basically online. We don't have the benefit of having a store just next to us, like you, Mattias, to get some real-time experience.
It's pretty nice. You should just move here. It's fine. Let's move to Skövde.
Yeah, let's do it. Just bought an apartment in Karlstad, but yeah, sure.
Hey, Karlstad, that's only like, what, a 2-hour trip? You can do that every week.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fine.
That's going to be very appreciated. All right. So you've been looking into the controls. What have you been doing, Mattias?
Well, I mean, we had our weekly play, and since we're going to be having a showdown here soon, I decided to start prepping a bit for that, especially since I haven't had the experience with Premiere that you guys have been having. I've been playing a lot more draft since I've been having the ability to go to a store where they're doing that. So I've been trying
Cheap
to
shot.
tune my... Yeah, no, I mean, I'll take every shot I can get against you. But no, so I've been trying to tune my my constructed deck, which is a Boba Green. Not exactly the most exciting, maybe, but I really like the deck. I enjoy how it plays. So I've been going from my original very early build of just everything is 3-offs and cutting some cards here and there, throwing in some spicier cards like Cunning that I didn't have previously, and getting in some fine-tuning the sideboard and stuff like that, trying to make that stuff work for me and make the deck feel more like it's my own deck, even though everyone's been doing Boba. So that's been my main thing. But we did have my first run with the deck in the weekly play went meh. I went 2-2.
That's not like what you want. No,
not with the Boba. But I got one of the games I got Sabined too hard, and I just didn't get the cards I needed, which is life. And the last game I lost was against a Palpatine, which was rough, because my first game I drew 6 cards costing 5 or more on the mulligan. So I was just like, well, this game is over. But hey, it was fun. So I've tuned it a bit since then. I played our league game against... I don't actually remember who I played against, but that I did win. Yes, I won this week. It's been a weird week.
Yeah, it's
I'm
been
not sure
crazy.
what happened this week and last week.
And you're talking, of course, about the Swedish TTS League.
Indeed,
the one for
the Swedish TTS League that ran by Adam himself.
Oh yeah,
you're doing that, huh? But yeah, that went fine. And ran a couple of games online just to keep tuning my deck a bit and learning it more, so I don't just run completely blindly into the showdown.
Do you have any
and I think
particular
that's
changes you like the most?
Sorry, what did you say, Jonah?
Do you have any, since you said you were tuning the deck, do you have any changes to the deck you want to bring up that you recently liked?
I might be a bit slow on that particular uptake, but I really enjoyed throwing in the Cunnings. The Cunnings have been doing amazing work for me in basically every matchup.
Nice.
And I cut down a super lace attack because I just didn't feel like it was doing enough. So that one went out. I mainboard Consortium Star Viper now, which I didn't previously, because Consortium Star Viper is just so good. It's too good.
Sounds like my list soon.
Yeah, they're fairly similar. I don't have the recruits you do, and I have a couple of different values than you do and stuff like that. But when you run Boba Green, you eventually figure out these things aren't quite working. They need to go. These things need to go in.
Yeah.
I still haven't thrown in the recruits. I don't know why. I just hate recruits. It makes me unreasonably angry of card, so I'm just not running it.
It's like a card that is meh, like a lot of the time, but never super weak. So sometimes it can draw you into a good position, but you were like from a position you were medium satisfied in. So I see why you don't love it.
I've played around a bit with Gamoran guards, not really feeling it though.
I hate those.
Yeah, that's fair. And then again, like it's mainly like been a lot of moving, making 3-offs into 2-offs and moving stuff into sideboard and moving around out of sideboard and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I think it's fair to really tinker around a bit with the green boba, because I saw like, did you guys see the the summary a guy posted on Facebook. Like he summarized like 33 store showdowns and showed like the best results in it. And I think if I saw it correctly, it was Green Han and Yellow Boba that was taking down the most store championships.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen the particular post, but I have been reacting on that when I've seen people post showdown result. It's been a lot of Han and a lot of Yellow Boba. So that's fun to see that actually confirmed.
Yeah, small sample size, but yeah. So something needs to be like addressed in Green Boba, or hopefully people are trying to tech against these decks now instead, and Green Boba can get a little bit of a resurgent.
I definitely think a bit of that issue, it's not an issue, but those results is because people are building against Green Boba so much, because people saw it as such a big threat. So now a lot of people are actively trying to testing against Green Boba a lot, maybe not as much against Han or stuff like that, but that'll change as well.
What about you, Adam?
I have been playing now for, what is it? Is it like 1.5, 2 weeks? I can't remember from my super insane traveling stuff. I've been like pausing a little bit on Green Boba, trying to explore other decks. Been playing quite a bit of Green Han, but there is so many versions of Green Han, so it's like a jungle to be late into that deck, I feel like, even though that's the deck I've been playing against like by far the most. It's Green Han, so I have like the experience of playing against it, not as much as playing with it. Trying to play the Boba control, the blue list. It's like so different to playing control. I don't really like playing control, so I guess, but I think it's like something you need to be good at if you want to at least know its weaknesses and beat it. So that's what I've been doing. A little bit of Yellow Sabine, of course, as well, because I was gonna face it in the TTI semifinals, which are on Jonah's YouTube channel. If you want to check it out. What is your YouTube handle?
It's Jonah with an H, Niklas with a K, and Place.
Yeah.
Jonah Nicholas Place.
Cool. We will link that in the description as well, so people can go watch someone lose. We'll see. We're not gonna spoil it.
Not gonna spoil it, but
necessary.
Regardless, we have to acknowledge it's also a big deal that you made it to the top 4.
Yes,
because there's a lot of good players in Take the Initiative League, and there's the Top Cut is open deck list as well, so that's quite interesting. And it's a very great environment to try hard.
Yeah, it's very good environment to try hard, because you can just see what the opponent plays, ask someone to play it against you, playing exactly against the right cards and figuring out what's their problem. I kind of enjoy that format in online play, at least. I think in live play it's a little bit more fun with the shut deck list for people to come with surprise decks and surprise cards.
That is the unfortunate part of how the current competitive rules are looking. That's the only thing I'm a bit meh about, is the open deck list, but it is what it is.
Does that mean, like, because even in the casual events, that you just can ask the opponent to show the deck, basically? Or
in all casual events, deck lists are closed if they are sanctioned.
Okay.
But in competitive events, you need to bring 2 deck lists, one for the organizers and one to hand out to your opponent.
It's on your responsibility as well to.
Yeah, you always need to bring one for them. Yeah. And I believe it is, you have 3 minutes before each game to go through your opponent's deck list and just make a plan in your head. You can't make notes from it. You are allowed to bring a notepad, but you can't take notes from the deck list. But
do you know if you can look at the deck list during the game?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
That's interesting.
You need to basically note, okay, this guy is running this kind of version, or he has this surprise card that you need to look out for or prep for or whatever. Yeah. So you always know what you're up against, but you can't refer back to it.
Yeah, that's going to be very relevant in the control mirrors, where it's all about milling out the restock, the vigilance, spark, or now even the bounty hunter crew.
Indeed.
And the bounty hunter crew is amazing in that. Yeah.
So you'll know what the opponent will be sideboarding in as well, most likely, and you can figure that out. And since you can ask about how many cards are left in the sideboard and how many cards, you can make you can get a lot of knowledge before the game even begins.
Yeah.
True.
But that's a sidetrack.
No, that's a sidetrack from but that's good information actually. Like so we could actually start discussing a little bit about the formats, because you said like in any casual. There has been like a lot of discussion around like how people are running these store showdowns, because there is some people doing best of 3, the whole competitive format, a lot of best of 1s, all the way through. And then I actually heard some just made a draft tournament out of the store showdown.
Oh,
like how do you guys think about like how do you think it should have been run? Like should it be this open, or should it actually been like more like the competitive rule set, but just more casual environment?
I mean, we've seen that the intention is to be the entry step into competitive play. So running a draft game that you mentioned, which they have at least so far claimed is not going to be a competitive system, feels off to me. I love draft. It's honestly probably my favorite format, and it's one of my favorite draft experiences in any game I've played.
Nice.
But I don't think if you're going to try to make this the way to get people excited about competitive play, then you should not be running a non-competitive format. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. And I don't think they're allowed to do that. They did still have some guidelines as to what you were supposed to do. I think you had to do Premier, but I'm not sure. And they did suggest a best of 3 from FFG, best of 3, 55-minute, yada. But they said, I believe they also left it open, like if you can't do that or whatever, do a best of 1.
Yeah. I think you have a lot of great points, and I agree with you that the point of Store Showdown should be to try to introduce new players into the competitive side of the game, because I feel like the most important thing with trading card games in general is that you have people to play with, right? So if you want to play competitively, you also need other players that want to do that. And therefore, I feel like Store Showdown should focus on actually being a bit competitive, maybe having some rewards for the winners, so it's more motivating to try hard a bit. And I feel like a draft, as you said, is then maybe a bit too casual, but I think it's interesting also to consider if draft is going to be more competitive in the future, because if we look at, for instance, Magic, I think in the Pro Tour, they used to play 3 rounds of draft and then 4 rounds of Swiss constructed, and having that kind of as one day, and then people go into the next day and so forth. So we might see that in Stars Unlimited as well. Actually,
and that's something they do in Flesh and Blood as well, and I really like that. I know people like Tobias abhors drafting in competitive play.
I would be very against it as well, but
I personally, I think draft has the capacity to be a very competitive format. The problem being that most of your games are won before they begin, or lost. They are won at the drafting table. The decisions you make there are much more important than any decision you can make during any game. But so I like it as a competitive format. But they have claimed that they will not be looking at it as a competitive format.
And I think that is, for me, I think it's nice. But I don't necessarily have a problem with having tournaments in draft, or like even in Twin Suns. Like that is like fun. But I kind of want them separated, because like if I'm a really good Premier player, for example, I don't want to be missing a top cut because I'm bad at draft. Because that is not like that's 2 different strengths in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I would be all for them having like for example, if you went to a big tournament, they had like, let's say, a European Championship. They have the European Championship for draft on, like, let's say Saturday, and then the European Championship for premiere on Sunday, something like that. Obviously, we need more days, but yeah.
Yeah, I do understand the idea that a lot of games go with, which is to be truly good at the game, to be able to claim to be the world champion or the European champion, you need to be good at all aspects of the game. However, I also kind of agree there with you that they're two very different strengths, two very different games entirely, and you kind of need to approach them as separate entities. Especially when you look at Twin Suns. I don't think Twin Suns will ever be a competitive format.
No, I don't think so either.
It's just not consistent enough of a game to really make functional in that sense. It's a very
not
fun
enough
system,
players, though, to want to do it. Yeah.
But yeah, specifically the draft bit, I don't think should have made it into Store Showdown. However, I understand wanting to do a best of one or best of three or whatever, like making it work, because I've also seen a lot of competitions just having the limitations of time. Some Store Showdowns have been during weekdays after work, and it's like, we don't want to go home at 3 a.m. It's like, that's fair.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't want to do that. Especially when the game is so young, they don't put the games on prime time, right? They're not going to replace Friday Night Magic with it. So
yeah, that's true.
You take what you
can. That is another issue, actually. Like, it feels like a lot of the stores got kind of time pressured by FFG to put it out before this time spot, which kind of felt like some of the stores got forced to put it on weekdays, at least here in Sweden, because they didn't want to like have it the same day as another one. Like, if they had like not been so strict with that, there could have been like everyone could have put it on the weekend, which would be make up a lot more time to not be forced to do this like let's say like a crippled schedule for a Monday night, for example, that we had in Stockholm this Monday.
Yeah, and I don't mind having a fairly restricted time allocation. If you have all of them during 2 weekends, I think that's fine. But you need to properly communicate with the stores at that point. And I've heard from a lot of stores, we don't know if we're getting a kit or not. So they haven't been able to plan it ahead of time. And like, I've seen Store Showdowns now pop up like a week before they happen. People aren't going to travel for 3 hours on a week's notice on a work day.
No, it's kind of hard.
That doesn't happen. So I understand like having limited time slots, especially with now we're going to be starting to move into pre-release season fairly soon. Like, they could have made it maybe to be like a month, another 2 weeks or so.
Yeah,
and just so you still have a space between pre-release season and.
Yeah, I don't see like why it's a problem to have it all the way to the week before pre-release. It doesn't really hit with anything else.
Not when we don't have a lot of things planned yet. When we start to get to the point where we have the different qualifiers and we have so many things lining up, you get burnt out if you have just event upon event upon event. So there needs to be space between, but
I feel like now it's like they
keep the hype
like,
up.
Like it would be more hype to have like every weekend instead of like now we have something in the middle of the week and then Saturday, Sunday. If it's like always every Saturday, in like it would be something. We don't get too burned out, and then we don't even like after the beginning of June we don't have any store showdowns in Sweden. I think after that weekend, then we will just go wait for the pre-release basically. And me as like a competitor, like feel like that month will be a little bit boring because I can't play with the new cards and it's gonna be not that useful to play with the old cards. I like only with the old cards.
Do you guys know when approximately the spoilers, like all the cards, will be spoiled?
No, is the short answer.
I would
it's usually like just before the release.
I think a few days before the pre-release, I would say.
They haven't given any information as far as I've been able to tell as to like we're gonna hold a final release or whatever this particular day, but I'm assuming they're gonna keep some of the sweet stuff, a couple of legendaries, some fun stuff until like the very end, to get people very hyped up for the release week, the pre-release weekend. But we shall see.
We shall see indeed. So today we also prepared a little bit, which is very unusual. And also, we should say 25 minutes in that obviously you all noticed that Fun Daddy is not here again.
How dare he?
Which is like, of course, he just didn't want to be here. That's the short answer. So we're gonna move on from that. No, he's busy doing something. We don't really care.
Well, it is kind of funny though. I enjoy this because it's hilarious to me. He wanted to play the store showdown in Skövde on Sunday. He has kids. He is the Fun Daddy. Thus, he has kids. That's how that works. These kids cannot be left alone. They are too young, and his wife is working. So, how do you solve this issue? Well, of course, you call your parents, right? Your parents can take care of the kids, which sounds fine until you realize that they're in England. So he's waiting now. He's in Gothenburg. So he's working there so that he can be there during to pick up his mother coming over from England to watch his kids while he goes to Store Showdown.
Wow,
that's
round
dedication.
Of applause. That's dedication. Good
that
job,
is
Jason.
That is commitment. Yeah. So he's still committed to the game. He's not phoning it out, even though he's a 2-week absence here. That is true, Mattias. That is it's actually not a fake story. It's
no, it's not. I was there when he planned this. I was amazed by the fact that his mother was on board.
Yeah,
as well.
I was joking with him about it before he did it. Like, you can just call them from England, and like that was obviously a joke. And then
okay.
A few days later, he was like, "I solved it," and I was like, "How? My mom is coming." I was like, "What?"
You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, that was obviously not what I meant.
All right.
But yeah, moving on from Fun Daddy's personal life, we have a small segment today, which was actually Jonah's idea. So I'm not going to take any credit for that. Where we're going to talk a little bit about underrated cards and cool cards, basically. And cool is the picker of the cards definition of cool.
It's up to interpretation.
So obviously some of these cool cards are not cool to everyone, but we are going to start a little bit with the underrated cards, because I think that is maybe what people are most excited about. So Mattias got to choose 3 and Jonah got to choose 3, and since you are the guest, Jonah, I'm going to let you start with your 3 underrated cards.
Great. I'm just gonna list all of them, and then we can discuss them for a bit.
Yeah.
So my picks are: Force Lighting is a 1-cost aggression and villainy event. It says choose a unit, it loses all abilities for this phase. Then, if you control a force unit, pay any number of resources and deal 2 damage to the chosen unit for each resource paid this way. So it's a lot of text, and it's split into 2 parts. So the first part always works. That's choose a unit, and it loses all abilities for this phase. As you can tell, that's pretty weird. But
that's not.
It doesn't really see many use cases in the first set. But I think being able to remove units' abilities, maybe seeing more play as we get more impactful abilities.
I think that could be very impactful later. There are obviously going to be more cards with just a bunch of text on it, Magic style, longer in. But right now, as you say, it's not played because of that.
It can still also it shuts down Shirts pretty hard.
Yes,
so,
that's.
I've been on the receiving end of that, and it sucks.
So that was my first pick. Then we have Relentless, a 9-cost 8/8 in space. With the first event played by each opponent each round, loses all abilities. So that's a big bump. And then lastly, I picked Command, which is the double aspect command card, where you have 4 modes. I'm not going to read all of them. But the reason why I picked Command is actually maybe the least used mode, the 4th one. It says return a unit from your discard pile to your hand. And I feel like that part of it is a bit underrated. Normally, you see people using it to ramp or to use the
Experience.
strike through experience. Yeah. But I feel like now, as we see more and more control, I feel like getting a unit back, like a very impactful unit like Home One or maybe even the Relentless, could be very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I've actually never seen anyone.
Or do you wanna...
No, I've actually never seen anyone play command and use that ability. So
Me neither. No.
that is like might be because not too many are playing command at the moment, but yeah, no, you don't. I don't think you need to defend your picks unless Mattias wants to like trash any of them.
You're wrong, and you can go away now.
Is it
They're all
anything
very
that
interesting.
intrigues you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun because I've seen all of these cards played. I just haven't seen all of these cards played a lot. Like Relentless, I have in my sideboard as Boba against Control decks. Force Lightning, I've seen a couple of times, and honestly, I've seen that card used to great success because it's very versatile, and that's very. It's a very useful card when you can get it to trigger.
Yeah, if you have a Force unit out, it basically works like a Vanquish, right? If you pay 5 for it, you're able to deal 8 damage to something.
Yeah, and you can hit space or ground. I think, or leader as well, right?
Yeah, leaders as well.
So I think like right now it's kind of a little bit too weak, especially on the villain side. You can't really guarantee to have a Force unit on board. As there will come like more cheap villain Force units, I think it's going to be like actually really good. I thought it was a like OP card when it was released, because like it was so like free. You can remove a small unit, a big unit, and like it's good in the early part of the game, the late stage. But
or to just shut down an ability that you don't want to deal with that turn and move on with your life. And that works on keywords. You can remove a Sentinel too, right?
And
I think
on
so,
the topic of Force units, we actually saw a pretty cool Force unit spoiled today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe this is gonna see play in Kylo Ren.
Could be.
Perchance.
Actually.
Yeah, that could be fun.
I mean, Force Throw has a bit more synergy, seeing you can discard cards from your hand, but...
Yep.
Also cool.
But Force Throw is going to be really good in Kylo Ren. Yeah, that's for sure. That's going to be fun. We're going to come into a little bit of the spoilers later, obviously, because it's fun to see these soon to be iconic characters in 5-10 years coming in. Is there any I think we touched all of your cards now, right? I would say like Relentless is now becoming like a staple sideboard card.
The reason
not a main
why I picked
card,
Relentless is because when I picked up the Vader starter deck, I was like, okay, it's expensive, it's cool, but this can't be that good, right? It has no impact when I play it. But now seeing all the control decks, just like, what the heck do I do with this 8/8 in space?
I have no idea with this problem.
The Relentless actually wins games so hard against some decks. It's really bad in some matchups, and that's why it's like the perfect sideboard card for mid-range decks, I would say. And also good for the control decks in the control mirror. But if you're playing in an aggro meta, you don't have to care about Relentless. That's our tip of the day. It's the dispatcher
Spaceship
tip.
too slow. Leave at home.
Yeah. So, Mattias, what cards did you find underrated?
So I went in a bit of a different directions, but I chose for my first card the AT-AT Suppressor, which is a blue-black 8/8 on the ground with a when played ability to exhaust all ground units, which is a card.
It's a card.
It sure is a card. I also chose Gideon Hask, 5-cost blue-black 5/5 on the ground. When an enemy unit is defeated, give an experience token to a friendly unit.
And the last one?
That is Attack Pattern Delta. It's 3 costs, 2 green. gives one friendly unit +3/+3 for this phase, another one +2/+2 for this phase, and a third one +1/+1 for this phase.
Yes. So compared to Jonas' list, you might have to defend some cards here.
Oh yeah, I
are,
will.
are they underrated or just bad? Because we barely see them.
Yeah, exactly. I went more in the direction of things that don't see play, but I think could have a place.
Yeah.
Rather than cards that are good, but are played, but not that often, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Jonah, what do you want to challenge Mattias on here? Are they underrated, or do you think they are fairly rated, some of the cards?
I think I agree that these cards maybe should see more play than they do. And actually, a funny thing, all of the cards you mentioned are played in the Take the Initiative top cut on season 2.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention to
Yeah,
that.
so
That feels
that's been interesting.
redeeming, yeah.
Because You Can Call Me Al plays a double command Tarkin list where he plays both command and attack pattern delta.
Oh, cool.
I think there's a Krennic player with Hask and then a Thrawn player with the AT-AT suppressor.
Ah, cool, yeah.
So I think of the cards you mentioned, I like the AT-AT suppressor the least. It's nice. It kind of has the effect as outmaneuver, where you can stall your opponents by exhausting all of them. But normally when I exhaust my opponent's board, I maybe want to follow it up with a super laser blast.
Then you don't want to have an 8 cost unit on the board, yeah.
Then my AT-AT is gone. So, but
My
maybe
big
I'm just
walkie
thinking
boat,
about
oh.
it wrong. Maybe it doesn't fit in those super control decks, but rather in a more mid-range deck where you kind of just want that 8 attack in.
I think it can be a good option as a replacement for the other walker, really. When you can drop in, instead of healing yourself up, you can just slow the opponent down, which damage not taken is essentially damage healed, right?
That's true.
But obviously, it's only when played. It's not also on attack, so it needs to be more decisive. But it is also slightly more decisive with that 8 power. I don't think it is as good, but I think it has a place in that role. And in the control decks, I actually really didn't enjoy getting hit by it a couple of times. As my Boba, when I have a stable board, they drop that, and then next turn they drop their big Devastator or whatever to knock out my big threat, and then run me over with that.
It feels like you want to play a deck with initiative most of the times if you're going to play that card, which sometimes is hard as a control player. So it has to be you have to be pretty good at your deck to play with that card.
Absolutely.
I'd say it's a challenging card to play with.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those cards that don't see as much play simply because there are a lot of good options for the same slot.
Yeah. Walkers, as you said, the Reinforcement Walker is such a good card.
Yeah, and so are the Star Destroyers, where you realistically, if you're going to remove something, it's going to be in that slot, right?
Yeah.
It's competing for a lot, but I think it's a decent card. I think it's underrated.
And Hask, what decks do you think could benefit from playing him?
So Hask, my attention has been drawn to Hask mainly from playing Draft, which I think it's still I think it's a format that should be mentioned sometimes. Okay, I like drafting.
Well, then I can say that ATA Suppressor I think is awesome in Draft.
Yeah, but like I've seen Hask be passed around fairly far down into the line, right?
That seems weird in Draft.
Yeah, but nearly every single game I have played in Draft where he has been deployed, one of two things have happened. He dies when he comes out, or he wins the game, no questions asked. There is no in between, because there's not enough responses to him. Obviously, in constructed play, there is a lot of ways to just slow him down or kill him, because he's a 5/5 when he comes out. He can be takedown. Yeah. If you bounce him, he loses all experience gain, stuff like that. But he's also always something you need to deal with. You can't leave him on board. If you do, he grows.
Yeah, he has a little bit like Obi-Wan for me. Like, as you say, a huge impact if he sticks. Game losing if they kick him out quite on the instant, because you just slammed the unit and got nothing. Because you can waylay, you can play like if you're a Han green or something, you play a Han Solo and just for free.
Yeah.
So
I
that's why it's
think-
hard, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Hask has a really good spot in Krennic, actually.
Yeah,
because Krennic is I feel like one of the only control decks right now that
Plays
benefits
units.
greatly from energy conversion lab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you can play with a more aggressive unit-based control with Steadfast Battalion, and then if you don't draw Steadfast Battalion, a Hask can maybe do a bit of the same work, killing something and then giving experience to something else.
Yeah, and then being forced to you need to deal with them, right? You can't just leave them on the board.
It's pretty nice to, as you say, if you ECL, you get some value. You usually kill one. You can probably give experience tokens to Krennic, which is going to be quite hard for people to deal with because like leaders is more limited to harder to kill. So I'd say that's where he works in ECL decks. So maybe even Iden then, but I think
and
as
then,
you say, Krennic best.
Yeah, he can just buff himself if he needs to.
Yeah.
I like him. I don't think he sees as much play as he should. I don't think he should see a lot more play than he does.
No.
But that's not the point of my picks.
But and also like why are you passing up on him on draft? I've only played draft one time, but I can't believe why would you?
Man, I don't know. I'm not the one doing it.
Everyone is not playing takedown in draft. That's just that's just not possible.
Yeah. And the last card being Attack Pattern Delta. I think a lot of people look away from this card simply because it doesn't say attack with the targeted units, like Rebel Strike does, and that's a very fair thing because if I just buffed 6 damage onto things, then you deal with that. So it's like, but also I think people forget that especially with the +3/+3, you're giving the back end as well.
Yeah,
you're probably moving your unit out of takedown range. You're moving them a lot of time out of a comfortable spot to remove with the units. It's a 5 cost for 6 damage, but it also makes it harder for an opponent that doesn't have super laser blasts and overwhelming barrages to clear the board, which I like.
And as more cards come out, double aspect might be more viable.
Oh yeah,
so
I love
then
double
for
aspect.
3 it's much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So it's 5 if you play it off color, right? Yeah.
But 5 off color, 3 on color.
Because I was like, that is so expensive. It doesn't cost 5. It's like I don't think so.
It's going to be 5 unless you're playing double green,
which is usually quite bad.
Unless you're doing apparently very well in the TTI league as Tarkin.
Yes, except then. But yeah, like because for 3, I think it's quite impactful to get like it's basically a +6/+6 across the board. The big problem in Unlimited is to have 3 alive units,
especially at 3 cost.
Yeah,
but if you can get all those buffs out, or even just 2 of them, that's +3/+3 and +2/+2, you're making your board significantly spookier.
I agree.
That said, does it fit in current meta decks? Probably not. But I like it. I think it's underrated to some extent. I think it has potential, but it's, again, I didn't pick the cards that I think should be played in the top meta decks, really. I picked cards that I think should see more play in general.
If Boba could have played that for 3 or 4, like Boba is like one of the decks that actually gets units to stick around. That I would play that, but for 5, it's just not.
It's a bit too high on that.
Yeah, there is like just the 5 cost number has like a lot of good plays. It's like the number 4 and 6 resources that are awkward, which is like if it's a good off aspect card, it's worth running. But like for 5, there is usually so much good juice you can tuck in.
Absolutely.
Are we ready to move on to the cool cards?
Yeah.
So Jonah, you went first last time, so I'm gonna keep Mattias here on the loop.
Oh boy, I haven't brought the cards up now, so.
But I have them, so I can read them for you.
Cool.
So you apparently think that Wedge is cool?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me why Wedge is cool?
So Wedge is a 5/5 for 5 on the ground, green-white. Each friendly vehicle gets +1/+1 and gains ambush. I just think this is a fun design space. I enjoy. I've always enjoyed like tribal decks in other games, and I like the idea of a tribal vehicle deck. Tribal meaning you going by the traits, basically. So an elf deck would be a tribal deck, for example. In this game, that would be vehicles, right? Each friendly vehicle gets +1/+1, and I think this is a card that will survive a long time because 5/5 for 5, meh, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
Ambush on every vehicle, which when we have a lot of them, could be really good. And I think this is one of those cards that are just every once in a while, if this game survives 10, 15, 20 years, every 3 years, someone is going to pull out a really wacky deck that just drops Wedge and wins.
Yeah. And like Wedge has the problem, I assume, that if you play Wedge in a deck, the people needs to respect Wedge and kill him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose, right? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So obviously you need the tools for him to survive, but I think he is a very fun design space.
Yeah.
So apparently, you also think that the clone murderer Krell is a cool card.
Krell, yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I haven't kept up with Krell as a character. If he murders clones, that's not very nice of him, and he should probably consider not doing that. But I mean, I like double aspect. That's one of the reasons. I don't know why. It just makes my heart tingle, I guess. But he's a double aspect green, 5 cost 5/4 that gives each other friendly unit when defeated you may draw a card.
Yep.
And card draw is so important, right? And I think turning your units into suicide bombing card draw mechanic is really funny to me. Just always replacing, like, throw them out there and throw the army at the opponent, make them explode, get a handful of new cards to play.
Yep.
I enjoy that. That seems like it could be really fun. And I think these cool cards for me have been a lot about what do I want to see happen in the future, right? Seeing where does the game want to go. And I think we're seeing here that they're going to be pushing out something to enable this. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think Krell is cool as well, but basically just purely because of the lore. He wants to sacrifice, send in all the troops. I don't care if they're dying.
Yeah. But like, imagine
it's very thematic, yeah.
Yeah, but imagine getting some cards that maybe, I don't know, create token units that whack things and then die, and then you get to draw cards, and everything is wonderful, right?
I think that like he's very good against board wipe. If you have like stuff out, the problem is that he's not so good himself. But like
no, he's complete garbage right now. Yeah. Like, he is not good. That's not what you asked me. You asked for a cool card.
Yeah, it's cool. So something similar could be cool later.
Yeah.
And by the way, for your like tingling double color thing, you're a Boba player. You can just play Boba double yellow. And
I could, yeah, but I like the greens. The greens are cool.
The greens are OP.
Yeah, that one. That's the thing I like.
That's what you like the most. And lastly, and I completely agree about this card being cool, the regional governor.
Yeah, what if we just attack our opponent directly?
Yeah.
Screw the actual board. We're just telling you as a player don't get to do this thing. I love it. So it's a 2-drop. I don't have his stats. It's a
1/4
probably. Yeah, 1/4. That says name a card. The opponent can't play that card.
Yeah, it's amazing that Star Wars Destiny had like something similar, but you actually blocked from you and the opponent, right?
Okay, yeah.
But this one just telling the opponent. I love playing regional governor, saying the opponent you cannot play resupply, and then I play resupply the round after.
Yeah,
that is the most beast mode you can go.
And it's not exactly a new design space. Magic has done this for years. Tons of other games have done this for years. But I just enjoy when you start interacting with things that aren't on the board. When you're trying to think, what will my opponent do? How do I stop that? It enables some deep plays.
It's such a high ceiling card, like skill-wise.
Yeah. So I really enjoy that card.
Nice. Let's move on to Jonah's cool cards before we go into some spoilers, because there has actually been some amazing spoilers.
Indeed.
So we're going to put some time on that as well. Do you remember your cards, Jonah, or should I read them?
Yes, I can read them and just briefly say what they do.
Yeah.
So we have a 2-cost cunning card, Sneak Attack. Play unit from your hand. It costs 3 less and enters play ready, but you have to defeat it at the end of the phase. We mentioned this in the last episode. Well, I'll get more into it why it's fun.
And I was reading Surprise Strike all the time when you were like, when I read it. So if I would have read it, I would have said Sneak Attack and then said the text of Surprise Strike and was like, this is not super cool, but sure. But yeah, Sneak Attack is very cool.
Force Throw, 1-cost aggression event. Choose a player. That player discards a card from your hand. Then if you have a force unit, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the cost. So pretty similar to the Force Lightning, card that's divided in 2 parts, and the second part conditioning on the force trait.
Yep.
So I feel like that also opens up a really cool design or a deck building space where you have to actually build a force deck.
Yeah.
So Grand Inquisitor and Chirrut have the benefit that they are leaders with the force trait.
With force, yeah.
They see this. Yeah, you see this card in those decks, but maybe now with Kylo as well. And then lastly, I picked Change of Heart. 6-cost cunning event. Take control of a non-leader unit. At the start of the regroup phase, its owner takes control of it. So when I picked out the cool cards, I didn't think about like the lore or art. I thought about which cards do I really like to play. Like it just feels so good when I play this card. And using Change of Heart to steal a Devastator. Oh, yeah, that's the best.
It's pretty
or force throwing a Palpatine onto a leader. Also really nice.
Yeah.
And then bringing him back with Palpatine's return.
Oh.
We will come to the return of Palpatine.
Okay. I'll stop.
And somehow we're coming there.
Sneak Attack is just like a super combo piece.
Yeah. Sneak Attack is like... I hate that card, but it's super cool. I've been wrecked by it too many times now. I think it is... it's such a good finisher. And also like stabilizer in some cases, depending on the deck. I think it's just a good card.
And since the card like gives a discount on the unit as well, it's kind of a way to exploit the when played and the when defeated effects.
Yep,
indeed.
Since you can kind of get the unit cheaper and get both of those.
So you really emphasize you want people to like sneak attack out the Inferno 4, right? That's what you want.
Oh yeah.
Throwing it on the Raider is pretty cool too. With the when played and defeated, deal 2 damage to a unit.
That's actually pretty strong. Yeah.
Okay, so what we're saying, guys, is we're playing a Grand Inquisitor deck with Force Throw, Sneak Attack, and Change of Heart.
Yep, go make the deck, play it, report back to us,
and with some Inferno 4s in it.
I mean, sneak attacking in a 7 sister, and then readying her with Grand Inquisitor seems nice.
Seems pretty nice, yeah. Too bad Grand Inquisitor is shit.
Change of Heart is such a fun card as well, especially with there being so many mechanics now with both Palpatine and Traitors to take cards from you, and then you can change of heart them back, and they actually stay on your side of the board.
Yeah,
which is really funny.
The first time somebody did that against me, I was like, "Huh? Are you cheating?"
And the answer is yes.
No, it's not.
I'm cheating, and it's allowed.
Change of Heart gives the card back to its controller, which is always the person playing it.
To its owner.
To its owner, sorry, to its owner, which is always the person playing it. The control, not the controller, which would be the thing that switches. Sorry.
So basically, now I got confused. But like, if I waylay a Change of Heart unit, who gets it?
The owner, the person that played it.
Yeah.
They played it.
So
okay.
Owner never changes. And both Waylay and Change of Heart refer to the owner.
Yes.
Okay.
Whereas, so since you return it to the owner, even if it has Traitors on it, it just stays with the person that Change of Heart did it, because the Traitors only changes controller, not owner.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Then it's like I thought. Cool.
And Traitors has like a when played effect.
Yeah.
So it only happens then and not like continuously.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Okay, so let's not go into some spoilers before we finish this up. Nobody wants to hear about my cool cards.
Nope, your cool cards aren't cool enough.
Nope.
Next
they
cool
are
cards.
So we're gonna start with the two green cards. I don't remember if they were. I think it was yesterday they got out, and somehow Palpatine's returned,
Oh no.
and like that card is like a green villain, 6 cost, rare card by the way. Play a unit from your discard pile. It costs 6 less. If it's a force unit, it costs 8 less instead. So basically, you can play a card from your discard pile for the same amount or cheaper if it's a force unit. What do you guys think about this card?
Ooh la la. I think if you play Vader in a green deck,
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to get him back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or earlier, depending on.
Yes, yeah.
Discard it or have it milled and be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll get it a turn earlier. Sure, why not?
Yeah, you're gonna sit there and wish if you have a Greedo that get procs, like please give me a force unit that goes in there, the big one.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think it's gonna be a card that isn't necessarily consistent enough. Because you're going to be having particular targets in mind, and in order to trigger the card, you need to not only have either had it milled or played, you also have to have it killed and then have the return card in hand. It's a lot of steps to make it work. Yeah, but when you make, like, if you have maybe 1 or 2 copies of it to make those plays, it can really change the game.
Yeah.
So it absolutely has a place. I think it's just. I think a lot of people are overestimating it at this point. I've seen a lot of people going like, "This is amazing." Yeah,
I think it can be. I think it can be amazing, especially like if you, like it's, like if someone vanquish your best unit and you just play it again next turn. It's like you have multiple copies of your best units with this card.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is, I think, the idea of it. So if they come first, it's not good. But I guess you just resource them in that case. Like if you draw Vaders early in Boba, they go down to the resource.
Yeah. So I also think that this card is a lot better when you have ways to discard things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So if it was in Han's colors or force throw, because Han Solo can like just put things down and discard them, right?
Yeah.
Han can play it for 2 extra penalty.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not a bad card. I think I have seen a lot of people overestimating it so far, but it's by no means a bad card. I think it will see play.
Yeah, I think it depends on how many force units villains get.
Yeah, that's also true.
That is also if they are good or high cost.
And it's one of those cards another one like Wedge to keep in mind as the game grows. I just look back at it once in a while. Can I use this now?
Yeah. So they dropped a legendary as well, a green one. Also villain and command 11/11 finalizer. It has overwhelm. And when played, choose any number of friendly units. Each of those units captures an enemy non-leader unit in the same arena. What do we think about this?
It's a finisher for sure. Like,
yeah,
get all your stuff away from the table, then I'll hit you. Yeah, that one. Also, the art looks. I actually really like the art, and it's the Star Destroyer, so I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it because for it to be good, you need units already on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
And paying 11 for something that's so conditional feels like a win more card.
Yeah,
that can,
absolutely.
Like, close out the game when you're already in a decent state.
Is this the Galactic Ambition combo piece?
Could be, yeah.
That they were like experimenting and like think about
7 for Galactic Ambition, take 11 damage. I mean,
because then you could have some units theoretically on board, right?
Yeah, 7 to clear the opponent's boards, hopefully, if you're playing it in the deck that can use it. And then hitting with everything, and then having an 11/11 overwhelm to start with next turn. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, against decks where you know they don't really have an answer to an 11/11, like if there's an open deck list and you know they don't play Vanquish or anything like that, then it's definitely worth taking 11 damage for that play.
Even if you Vanquish it, provided that you have actually captured some stuff, it's still doing things, right? It still has things captured. But I think I agree with your take, Jonah, that it's more of a win more card. Because if you can capture 4 of the opponent's cards, then you already have 4 cards out and you're probably winning.
I think I think I agree. It's awful against aggro as well because you 11 resources.
Yeah, it's kind of bad that Super Laser Blast just nullifies the whole ability, right? Because the captures unit even survive.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because they come after. They come back after everything has been destroyed by the blast.
That's rough.
It
This
does
might
capture
not be the
itself,
most
though.
expensive one. Yeah.
It captures itself. It captures to itself. It's not other friendly units. So you could use it to capture a Devastator, and it would be really funny.
Yeah.
No, but it's you have to capture enemy units.
Yeah, it says enemy non-leader.
And so it can capture the enemy's unit. So it can capture a enemy Devastator, which could be really funny.
Yeah.
Because it just like give me the Star Destroyer. You can't have it.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's funny
exactly.
to me.
Tractor beam.
But if you could capture your own units, you could like protect them against the Super Laser Blast.
Yeah, that would have been a cool play actually. Like
and make you not want to kill the ship. Yeah, I was like either deal with Bay 1111 or deal with an entire board of shit.
Yeah.
Somebody
that's
in
actually
the Norwegian Discord told me about that. Another cool.
Pretty sick.
No, we haven't gone to that card yet.
Yeah, now we are going into like it's gonna be a villain thing here today. There is a Kylo Ren leader spoiled, and let's see. He is he's coming out on resource 4, so he's gonna be our second unit leader that does that. Before it's only
third, actually.
Third?
Lando.
Okay, Lando as well. I haven't read all of them. I have not gone through all the spoilers. Okay, let's say Kylo has his number 11 on the card. Maybe he came before Lando.
Lando is 17, thus you are technically correct.
Yes, he's the second. So he's a red villain leader. Basically, the aggression trait, which sums up pretty well. He has an action, discard a card from your hand to give a unit +2 for this phase. So quite aggro, I would say.
Yeah.
When he deploys, he's a 5/4. This unit gets -1 attack for each card in your hand. Comments?
Super interesting. I think, is it the first time where we really see a unit that has like a negative ability impacting itself somehow?
I think so. Especially leader, right?
Definitely leader. Unit, there's too many of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so, the same guy that told me about the Super Laser Blast thing also said, maybe we have to force lightning this guy so he doesn't get a -1.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Just force lightning myself and hit. That's fun.
Yeah. You could. Yeah, you could definitely do
to
that.
close out the game, maybe.
Yeah. But I think like is Kylo Ren the first leader that actually really benefits on playing 1-drops, like double 1-drops?
Yes.
And like force throws for sure is really good for him. Feels like a unit that will never go past like 6 resources.
With the cards that we see right now, he doesn't seem that good, but I think we are definitely going to see more cards in Shadows of the Galaxy that are pretty much designed around him.
Yeah.
Like for instance, overstatted cheap units that maybe say when played discard a card.
Yeah.
Or just has a good bounty.
Yeah.
Yep. Because like the 4 HP bar is quite disturbing, right? That's the problem with the card, right? And
you can't expect to hit more than once really with them.
Yeah. And also like you don't want to have 0 cards on round 4 on hand.
No. I think this is going to be a bit of a noob trap. A lot of people are going to be like, ooh, big angry card hit a lot and drop lots of cards to buff my units. And then, oh, wait, I don't have any cards to play. What do I do now? Which might be, I don't know if that's a good design space for a game when it's this young, because there's going to be a lot of people that will probably get bothered by that.
Yeah.
It's a way to learn the game, but for more casual players, that might be you might be like, oh, I want to play the cool emo kid I saw in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then you'll play Kylo, and then you'll run in and like, why am I losing every game? Why don't I have any cards? But I think it's fun. I like it. I don't know if it's going to be good or not. We're going to have to see what they drop for him.
Yeah.
It's rash and deadly.
Yeah, these things. Yeah, agreed.
I think you have to think of him a bit like IG, where it's not an auto deploy as soon as you can.
No.
because you have to really know what you're playing against and what they could have to take out your leader.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to be in a position where you're getting at least 1, maybe 2 attacks, then it might be worth it. But sometimes you just have to wait.
Yeah. I think if you are the early one, you should probably be able to clear the board, and maybe he can stick because of that. He can clear the last unit, and then they have to have that removal on hand to take him down.
The problem for me is him dying to the shooty. The 3-cost, the deal 4 damage red card.
Yeah, open fire.
That one does cool. Bother me a bit, but it is what it is.
That's not cool.
It is fun, however, that it's a card that very much benefits from the smuggle mechanic. Because you don't need to have cards in hand if you have them right down there, right?
True. I'm not sure red and black villain's going to smuggle a lot. But
that's true. If provided they get cards that work with that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be, if there is a lot of support around him, he could be good. Otherwise, he's going to be a little bit like Grand Inquisitor, like pretty bad.
Yeah.
Let's
but he gets a spaceship.
Let's move on to his spaceship, which is called something. Let's see. Let's move to Kylo's tie silence. Somehow I wanted to say slicer, but it's
tie slicer,
which is obviously red and black, of course. A 3/2, a 2-cost, which is pretty good. Like it's like a Viper droid. But in space, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's the first 3/2 I think we have for 2-cost.
I think so, in space, yeah. And if this unit was discarded from your hand or decked this phase, play it from your discard pile, paying its cost, of course. What do we think about this one?
Well, it's
a legendary, of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first card that has some action that you can trigger in the discard pile, which is fun.
Yep.
It opens up the design space, which, I mean, we knew they were going to do that, but still fun.
I feel like it would have been much better if you could, like, action cheat it.
Yeah.
So you could just do it as soon as it gets discarded.
Yeah.
And it would say, like, as this card is put into the discard pile, you may pay to play it.
You have to do that as your action.
Yeah.
That's a bit weaker.
It does open up for the very niche possibility, however, of doing it twice in a turn. If you play it and they kill it somehow, and then you build, well, I'll get it back. But
true,
that's very
it was
niche.
This face. Yeah, it's still a face,
and still the same copy of the same card. So it's
I think for me it implies that it's going to come some more like maybe self-discard things, because this one is really good, like with Force Throw, for example, and with Kylo Ren. Then you
I feel like
discard it and play it, so you get the unit out and lowering your hand.
Something.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly designed around Kylo's own activated ability with the discard.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Obviously, yeah.
Yes.
But we might see more self discard. I mean, that's a very good way to make costs happen, and make costs valuable to yourself is always fun. So
yeah. That's
okay,
true.
I just have one last question about Kylo. Will Kylo make the worst rare of set 1 actually playable? Smoke and Cinder.
What is Smoke and Cinder doing again?
You guys don't even know what this card is doing. Because
I actually read it, but I forgot.
So, for the people at home, it's a 5-cost event in aggression. Each player discards all but 2 cards of their choice from their hand.
No, it's not. It's not. Like, it's too expensive.
It's still the worst.
And 2 cards is basically what most mid-range deck just has in hand anyway. Like, maybe they have 3. No, that card sucks.
Fun in Twin Suns, okay?
It's a reason that you didn't remember anything about that card.
Yeah. I just read it and wanted to sell it right away. But that's the tip from Jonah. Smoke and Cinder is going to be Kylo.
No.
So stack up on Smoke and Cinders, because they're going to skyrocket in value and make a fortune on set 2 when that
the new Norwegian meta.
Yeah.
Off aspect, smoking cinders in every
I
deck.
do not like where this meme is going.
I'm pretty sure this episode is gonna be called like "Buy Smoke and Cinders."
At least I'm not gonna
Store
galactic ambition myself for 11 damage.
Ow.
Like the Swedes do.
Health is a resource, okay?
Hey, sometimes it's good with like self-inflicted friendly fire. Yeah, I think that's enough of advice and tips from the Nordic folks that clearly aren't that sane. Any like last things you want to say, Mattias? Jonah came with his brilliant idea.
Well, I mean, I can't exactly top that, so I mean, come to Skövde, beat our asses.
Oh yeah, of course.
When is the store showdown?
It is on Sunday the 26th.
6th, I think. Yeah, but it's Mors dag in Sweden, Mother's Day, Swedish Mother's Day.
Which is extra fun when Jason is like, "Here, mother, have my children. Goodbye."
That's so good, actually.
It's a double fun thing. But yeah, like I'm not sure if there are spots open still or anything, but like
there are a couple, yes.
Yeah. So if you want to meet us, come there. Both Mattias, Jason, and me are gonna be there playing it. Just say hi, talk to us, and come with feedback if you want. That I should mention. Like on the tournaments I've been, there was a lot of people like commenting on the podcast and talking to me, and we really appreciate when people do that. So
indeed.
So keep doing that, and me and Mattias are planning on going in Västerås showdown as well, but that's the week after. So
yep, Saturday the 1st.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everyone, and may the force be with you. Thank you, Jonah and Mattias, for today.
Thank you.
Thanks again. It was super fun.
Uh-oh. Jason, cut this out.
Yes. Jason, cut. Outro. There we go.